Storygram Network.
Hello, we are the Sonoma Community Center podcast, a place of creativity, connection, and community. We highlight the artists, teachers, and the community that come through the doors of our historic brick building, often called the heart of Sonoma. We share local tips and shout outs to our home, Sonoma Valley. And we are your hosts, Molly Spencer.
Gerardo Diaz.
We are the engagement team of the Sonoma Community Center. Whoop, whoop. Well, hello there. Happy summer. It's very hot today.
It is very hot today.
It is Molly Spencer.
And Kat Smith. Gerardo's voice has changed.
Gerardo, you look different too.
I feel different, Molly.
No, we're so excited. Again, Kat Smith is here to fill in for Gerardo today as we co-host our podcast. It's been a brief spring moment that we've done one, and the last one we did was in the studio at
Jesse
KSBY.
Fernandez, yes.
I know, I love it. And today, very excited to have someone in my life that is just the loveliest human being and is such a great part of this wonderful organization that I will let her introduce. But what we have in the studio today, in studio I use loosely, the music room at the community center, is Becca Knopf. Hi, Becca.
Welcome.
Hello, Molly. Hi.
Hi.
So, I know you just ran over from the barn,
I
right?
did, yes. I had to wash my hands in the community center bathrooms to make sure the manure was off of them.
So much information.
I know, right? Well, that's what you get when you're working out at the barn. And I call it the barn.
You do call it the barn. And now I'm curious because I'm going to get to find out where you keep taking your daughter every time you say you're taking her to the barn.
I got to run her out to the barn.
Yeah.
The barn is a wonderful organization called Square Peg Foundation. And I can't explain it, but Becca can.
Yes.
Tell us about Square Peg Foundation.
Square Peg Foundation is an adaptive horsemanship program and thoroughbred rescue. So we take retired racehorses and we retrain them and we use them in our program with mostly kids and young adults who have autism or other neurodivergence. A lot of mental health challenges as well, trauma, and just different families. We have a job training program, we have a recreational riding program, and then a lot of young, wonderful people like Molly's daughter volunteer out at a farm and had take lessons with me as well.
Yeah, that's nice.
Short, our relationship is my daughter during COVID. She had a friend at school. And then when we were doing, remember our little tight pods that you would have teaching homeschooling, we're like, well, they really needed to get outside. So I
like every kid.
Exactly. And so one of the young ladies that was in our pod, Zoe, her mother was Gabriella. And who's here this week?
She is.
Oh my gosh,
blessed.
she's the best.
I love her.
I know. And she was out there working, right?
Yeah. So she started out as a volunteer actually in 2019. And then I hired her in 2020, serendipitously, thank God, because we got really busy during COVID.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Everyone wanted to find something outside they could do in community where their kids were not on their phones because you can't really be on your phone with a 1,200-pound horse that used to race. And yeah, we had kids cleaning stalls and riding.
And that would be one of my kids.
And your kid worked her little booty off.
Yeah.
And she's so cool. We love her.
Yay.
It's life-changing, really.
Yeah.
It's kept her in the direction that it's given her such a work ethic. I'm gonna.
Oh my God, she's got a work ethic. Yeah.
And just a real love of horses and animals and empathy and really working with so many different people that are neurodivergent.
Yeah.
And or any really personalities that come across at the barn.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you explain more into that.
We were founded in 2004, actually, by my boss, our executive director, Joelle Dunlap.
She's the best.
She's so cool. She grew up working at Golden Gate Fields and riding off the track or riding the thoroughbreds on the track, actually.
Oh, wow.
Exercising them. And she would take the horses off the track and started her own riding school eventually. And what kept finding her over and over again were kids and young adults who needed a different kind of instruction. And the horses and the kids, the horses being, a little quirky themselves, if you will, because they've had their own neuroses from being on the track or injuries and stuff. The horses really became an example for a lot of kids of like perseverance and being able to work with a different environment, like work within a different paradigm, I guess you could say. What kept finding her, the families that kept finding her were autism families. So finally someone was like, you got to make this a nonprofit. So she did. And that was in 2004. And so since then, we've grown significantly. We now have 2 locations. Our original location was actually in Half Moon Bay, which is where I was hired and worked for originally. And then I kind of have a funny story how we ended up in Sonoma. I was working part-time for Square Peg a couple days a week. And I was also working 2 days a week for a woman in Sonoma, Susan Palmer, who was a dressage trainer, who had her dressage facility, boarding and training facility in Sonoma.
Wait, do you want to explain what dressage is?
It's the pretty
we're going back to basics, girl, right?
It's the Snoop Dogg it's crip walking for horses, right? Yeah. In the Olympics, he's got this whole thing about crip walking.
Oh my God!
Snoop Dogg at the Olympics was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. So dressage is kind of like the classic military riding for horses, and it's obviously changed throughout the years, but basically the horses, they needed to be able to charge down a line and spin on a dime and have their riders stab someone or shoot someone on their horseback while they're galloping around. So the horses had to be super sensitive and very well trained. They also had to be able to jump up and kick someone behind them and knock them out, right? Or trample them. And so dressage is actually the originating of equestrian riding, of training and stuff. Where was I going with this?
I think what you're saying is horses are super smart.
Horses are super smart. Yes. Okay. So I was working for this woman, Susan Palmer, who had a competitive dressage facility. And my sister and I had been working with her for years. So I was learning from her and working for Square Peg. And sadly, she passed away from lung cancer in 2017. So I kind of took on caring for her horses and clients. That was also the month before the fires. I had to evacuate her farm up here, which was wild.
Now, is the farm where the location is now?
Yeah, so our Sonoma location is at Caden's farm.
Okay, and can you give the address and give that information on the Sonoma location? So
we're down in Shellville, kind of right by the Fruit Basket and Gloria Ferreras, back in there, little residential neighborhood. We actually don't publish our address because we want to protect the privacy of our families. Yeah. And that's really important for us to be really respectful for the families that come in through the gate and spend their time there, making sure that's a safe place for them and really cultivating a sense of trust and respect for their time there. But if you
respect. I get it. I guess I'm so used to working in a very public place.
But you can always reach out to me. And if you want to come out for a visit, I will tell you the address. And come out for a visit.
And they can find the information on Square Peg Foundation.
Yep. squarepegfoundation.org. Yeah. Gotcha. Or you can also just DM me on Instagram at thesquarepegfoundation.org or at the Square Peg Foundation, not .org.
And maybe I'll just tag along with Molly when she drops off her daughter one day.
You should.
It's so cool.
Yeah. The horses are so fun. They're so friendly. The flies are starting to come out right now, which is a little annoying. But that's okay.
I like that they're given a second chance. I love that because you think from movies and other things that when something goes wrong with a racehorse, that's it. So I love hearing that they're going somewhere else and starting a new path.
Yeah, and that was really intentional, right? Like the horses that we have in our program, a lot of them wouldn't have been able to be in another career because of injuries or their own behaviors or such. And that's really kind of the space that we occupy in the equine world. We are not a typical riding school like Wonderful Strides in Petaluma. They're a great program. Morningstar Farms in Novato, they've got a great riding school program. And we're not a therapeutic riding program in the sense of like a path program, which, Giant Steps and Hallett Creek in this area do phenomenal work. And they really work with people with physical disabilities. Our niche is the people who don't want to necessarily be in a riding school environment, the more competitive environment. They don't want to show. They maybe have a different learning style or just want more one-on-one attention. And individuals who maybe don't have the behaviors to be safe in a typical therapeutic riding environment. So it's really like our whole MO is getting the kids moving, getting a relationship with our families and our kids, letting the kids explore and our individuals and our adults explore the space, them telling us what they want to do, how they want to learn. We call it follow the child, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're deeply interested in our families, in our individuals' interests in everything. So I know so much about Minecraft that I don't know anything about Minecraft. You know, I've learned so many cool facts about reptiles and trains.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Remind me again, some of the partnerships that you work with as well is you also have adults that come out there as well,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. So we have a job training program for
That's
adults
very
on the
cool.
spectrum. It's really cool. It's kind of been a game changer for us, really, because our adults, the services, frankly, there's just not enough, especially in the Valley. There's like very few services for adults with special needs in the Valley. There's just not enough dignified work experiences for people with autism or other behaviors. And we really do exist in this space where a behavior or your support needs do not define your value. And we've had individuals with extreme behaviors that have been kicked out of programs who come out to our farm, and we've figured out a way to make sure they're learning, they're working, they're supported, and everyone inherently has value. Our horses inherently have value.
I think that's good instruction across the board. It could be horses, it could be dance, it can be anything that you do. Teaching half the time is really about listening and learning how to connect. Every single time you got to re-listen because each of one of us are individuals and have this just complex way of different ways that we learn.
Absolutely.
You know, so I think that's half of it. But it must be really incredible to I feel like you've overcome something and made a connection with a 1,200-pound animal. Because to me, they seem frightening. I'm still a little frightened by them. So
they're big.
They're very big.
Exactly. Or just coming in with this like, oh God, what if they fall off the house? Or horse, excuse me. Not the house.
Although that's dangerous
that can happen.
too.
Yeah.
Because I remember when Isla was out there and when she first fell off the horse, you guys did a really cool thing. You had this book at the time.
Our buckaroo bag.
Our buckaroo bag. Tell us about the buckaroo bag. I just thought this was the most incredible special thing to help them overcome.
When people ride horses,
Yeah.
inevitably at some point may fall off. I cannot tell you how many times I've fallen off. But when a kid first falls off, and we work with a lot of kids with anxiety, right?
Yeah.
And autism is a diagnosis that really at its core is about anxiety. So when someone falls off, it can be really scary to get back on. And I'm never going to force a kid to get on a horse, but I want to encourage them to face those fears. And part of learning how to navigate the neurotypical world is by learning how to be resilient and like work through some stuff. So we created this little buckaroo bag, and in it has a book where you can write your story so you can process it or draw a picture or have your parent write the story as you dictate it. However you want to share your story is how we have it in there. So there's stories. Her 1.5 Moon Bay had stories from like 2007.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. So like you could go back and be like, oh, Tina, she had 3 people fall off in the same week. Wonder what was going on with her that week. You know?
Tina.
Tina
old little polo mare.
man.
She was amazing. And then we'd also have a horse stuffy that someone could take home and hold and
They love
cry
that.
into and tell their story to. And then in the bag, there would be a present that you could keep. And the person who got the bag could keep that present, but then they had to find a present for the next person.
Is that cool?
So the bag kind of just would make its way through different kids.
As a parent too, it's terrifying to think of your child falling off a horse. You know, it's real scared of that. And I knew it was going to happen. And when it happened.
How old was she?
When she first started coming out there. So
I think she was like 12, right? I don't know. She was younger than that.
Well, she came out earlier, I think like 11.
12.
I
think she fell off when she was 12 was her first fall. Yeah.
So either way, just to see them, because you don't know how to approach that situation because as a parent, most of the time you're not trained in that particular thing. So to have that, see her work through it and not be afraid to get on a horse again is pretty incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It shows you how strong kids are and like they're a lot more resilient. I'm using the word resilient again, but they can be a lot more resilient than people think they are.
You're right.
Yeah. And they're tough. Like if you give them an opportunity to be tough, some of them can be really quite tough. So yeah.
So we're going to go back to Square Peg, but I want to kind of go sideways for a second. And I imagine you were a pretty tough kid. So where did you grow up at? I always thought you were in Sonoma.
No, I grew up in San Rafael.
Okay.
So not far.
So not far at all. Yeah. So
Marin.
I grew up in Santa Venetia, which is right by the Marin Civic Center. Both my parents lived or worked in the city. My mom was as a nurse practitioner with the San Francisco City School District. And my dad was a adolescent social worker with UCSF.
So you have a lot of that built right in.
Yeah. So everyone in my family was like an occupational therapist, a nurse, a teacher, a social worker, a minister.
Really
everyone
taking care of the peeps.
Yeah. So that was always modeled to me from a young age that like there's really incredible value in being of service to people. And when I was a kid, my sister got invited to go to horse camp.
Rachel, right?
My sister Rachel. She's a chiropractor now for horses and
she
people.
just got
Yeah,
married.
for
Congratulations,
she just
Rachel.
got married.
Rode in on a horse. Every little girl's dream.
That is so cute.
I like tears on our horse. She and I had the horse for
Danny
21 years now. He just turned 30.
Oh, Danny.
Oh, it was so great. It was so magical.
The unicorn?
Unicorn. One of my sister's friends, who was her friend's daughter, is 2 years old and was like, Rachel's a princess on a unicorn. Oh my God. Bawling.
It's the fairy tale.
Yeah. So anyways, Rachel got invited to do a horse camp up in Novato. And, I'm 3.5 years younger. So anything my older sister wants to do is so cool.
Yeah.
And I was always just a total animal lover. Any dog, I would just run over to it and stick my face in it. And I also loved like really cool, shiny, big things. Like my mom has a story about me walking by a bunch of Harley motorcycles and just going, shiny. When I was a kid. So,
That's Team Shiny.
Right,
Those are the Shiny Riders.
So I begged my parents to let me ride when my sister was in camp. And eventually I did. I was a little younger than a lot of the other kids in camp. I think I was 4.5 and you're supposed to be 5. But they let me in because I was a little bigger kid and I'd been hanging around the barn for a while.
Yeah,
and then
that's how you do it.
My sister and I had the bug. Got it good.
Yeah.
And we just stuck with it. Both of us went to school for animal science and I went to school for equine business management out in Ohio. And
Ohio, huh?
Yeah. I spent 4 years in Ohio. Near Columbus. A wonderful university called Otterbein University. Cool little liberal arts college.
And what did you study there?
Equine business management.
Okay. Yeah.
So literally horse business.
You were looking for a college that provided, because that's a particular niche, specific. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it was very fun.
How'd you like the Midwest?
It was great. It was different. I think it really opened my eyes to what was possible in the horse industry. And, on the West Coast, we're so isolated from the East Coast horse industry. And it's massive. It's way more involved in everyone's lives, I think, out there, especially like Virginia and Kentucky. And we were so close to just so many amazing venues in Ohio that I was able to, my first like 3-day event, which is where they do it's like triathlon for horses, right? So you do the dressage tests, the dancing in the arena, with the letters, and you have a pattern you have to do. And then you go and you ride out on grass and over big solid jumps. And then you go in the stadium and you jump over basically sticks that can fall down in the wind. And the lowest score wins. And my first one was out at the Kentucky Horse Park, which is this beautiful facility they have done like the World Equestrian Games at. And like my idols as a kid who were Olympians rode out here, yearly in the big horse shows. And I would see it on TV. So my first time riding Otterbein's Miss Bella, towards the head of the lake, it was like, oh my God. All of my famous idols have ridden here too. So,
that's amazing.
I love that.
So cool.
So San Rafael.
So
then out to Ohio.
And then I just want to be back close to family. And I love California. How do you not love this area?
Well, Half Moon Bay is pretty gorgeous. Too.
Yeah. So I basically just cold emailed Joelle.
Wow.
I was like, hey, you guys looking? I think my subject line was soon to be graduate seeking meaningful employment.
Oh,
that's a really good one.
I workshopped that with my mom quite a lot.
Meaningful.
Yeah. So I reached out and she just invited me out. I didn't meet her for the first day. I think I put a tutu on by the end of the day and was mucking stalls with the teenagers. And the teenagers were definitely sussing me out. And then at the end of the day, I taught a couple lessons and they kind of looked at me like, come back.
Okay.
So
That's so cool. And
Storygram
Joelle,
Network.
we've got to say, it's just, I mean, my daughter looks up to her. Like,
She's so cool.
she's
I know.
amazing.
Yeah.
She's an amazing woman.
She's been on a lot of podcasts too. So if anyone just types in JOELL Dunlap, they'll probably find some. She's got incredible stories that really moving.
So then you find yourself in Sonoma.
Yes.
And here you are.
Here I am. So so the family, Susan Palmer's family, she had a dressage business out at Cadence Farm, and they kind of asked me to like, hey, we'd love for you to keep the horses here, like in honor of our, my wife and our mom. And so I asked Joelle, literally, we went out to dinner and got some pasta and some red wine. And on a napkin, we kind of did the math on what it would mean for us to open a secondary satellite location in Sonoma. And the mathed, basically. Math.
It added up.
It added up. And so we've been out here since 2018.
Oh, wow. I thought it was like, I don't know. Time is going by
is so weird.
So fast.
Well, COVID was like this weird, 3 years are gone. Wait, where do they go? I don't know.
But it's so wonderful to hear just the magic and everything. Square Peg, especially the Shelbyville location, has really grown by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Oh, something. Oh, ooh. Bad, Molly.
You didn't turn off your
I
ringer.
love my daughter. We happen to be speaking of trying to call me. I'm interviewing your boss. It's probably about a lizard. Just FYI, we got a new cat and he's bringing in lots of lizards.
The whole lizard or just the tail?
Last night it was the whole lizard except for the tail. So we don't know where those things are going.
Probably got the tail first and
First
then
day
caught
of
the lizard.
summer. Hey, when you get an animal, she should know. Come on.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's all good. I forgot my train of thought, but you find yourself out there and I just feel like it's really grown by leaps and bounds. And you've done a lot of outreach and that sort of stuff. I know that Sonoma Mentoring Alliance, who is here, found their way out there.
We have offered a 2-day equine experience day with the Mentoring Alliance for, I want to say, the last 3 years. And it's been so much fun. Mentors and mentees come out on like a Tuesday afternoon for 2 hours and we talk about, the horse-human connection and how energetically we can speak to each other in this really beautiful way. And then we do some sensory work. So that's a lot of how we work with the horses is in more of a sensory sense. So we do a lot of liberty work on the ground and body-to-body connection with them so that people's physiology can become more regulated, because horses are the ultimate regulators of us. Their heart rates are lower. They are herd animals, so they are always looking to make sure that the herd is cohesive and well regulated so that they can conserve energy and just, if you've ever, if you're not afraid of the horses and you're in their presence, you feel it. It's really cool.
I've been on the horses. I like the old mares that are, because I got bad dancing hips, right? They really loosen up the hips, right? And that's just kind of like that steadiness. I know you got a bunch of horses over there.
I got science to back up that information you just said.
Really?
I do.
Tell me about it.
So the rhythmic moving of the hips can actually help your body produce oxytocin, and which will reduce the levels of cortisol in your system. And cortisol is the stress hormone.
I need this.
I
dancing,
know, right?
riding horses, and adult explicit activities, if you will, all help rhythmic movement, make you feel really good, make you feel connected.
I did go there for a second. Sorry.
That's fine. And it can help regulate us. And at the end of the day, that's what we all want, to be a well-regulated system so we can react to activations in our world, right? We can react to the fires, or we can react to a kid screaming, or we can be well regulated so we can react appropriately and then come back down so we can
react appropriately. It's so true,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what we're looking for.
Yeah. And the horses are the
levels.
ultimate guides in that, if you will. They can gallop really fast and then stop and just be there and start eating grass again.
That's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not so scared anymore, Becca.
Good.
I'm going to have to come out and ride Mowgli. I'm familiar with all the horses out there, clearly from it. But Mowgli's been like the workhorse for so long, right?
Yeah.
And he's the one that I'm like, he's
a special character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's actually not a thoroughbred. He's our resident Andalusian, which is a Spanish horse.
Oh, okay.
He was actually born in Spain and was shipped to flew on a plane from Spain
That's
to
crazy.
Florida. Yeah.
First class?
Yeah, first class. Horse class, if you will.
Horse class.
And
What is horse class? That seems like it's a whole. That's like a whole plane right there.
Just got a YouTube search: horses flying on planes,
I
and
feel
it's
like
the
it's
coolest.
not your average flight to Hawaii.
It is not
It's
your
a
average
pretty
flight.
big adventure.
Yeah. But he was meant to be a fancy competitive dressage horse for a woman, and he got really depressed. He hated it.
Aw.
And his saddle fitter, who was fitting a saddle for competition and stuff, is a friend of Joelle's, and basically told the owner, was like, you gotta just donate the horse to Joelle. It'll be fine.
Okay.
And we let him out in pasture for a couple months and then started trail riding him, and just he lights up around kids and
Oh,
our, especially in his community. He's perfect. He's like this huge horse. And he's so gentle. He can have like kids crawling between his legs and he will not move a muscle. Not that you want kids crawling between a horse's legs.
No, you don't.
That's not being taught out there, folks.
No, that is
believe
not
me.
being taught, let me tell you. But he's perfect, yeah.
You've got lots of things. I mean, your brain it's always fun. You're actually like perfect for community center. Kat and I run that vibe too. Like there's always, you're all, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And you get excited for like the next
Yeah.
adventure, next plan, and the next event. I know right now you are doing, it's Farmers Market. It's every Tuesday, folks, in Sonoma. It's the big party downtown.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what, we're down there usually at our booth, but you're down there as well. This is great because it's overwhelming for me down there half the time, so it's there's so much sensory, there's music, there's just everything, food, taste, blah, blah, blah. So it's exciting, but sometimes you need a little decompression too.
Yes.
And you're offering that.
Yeah. So I was talking to a parent and she was like, I just feel so disconnected to my other special needs parents in the Valley. There's just not a lot of stuff for us to go to get support and talk to each other and stuff. So I decided to do an inclusion corner at the farmer's market.
I love it.
Yeah. So we have 2 of our jumps, basically. We've spray painted that say Team Quirky on them. And we've set up on this past Tuesday, we set up over by the small playground and the pond, I guess, right across from Sunflower Cafe. It's a good spot.
Shady.
It's quiet. It's out of the way. Easy
You don't
to
get as much of the music.
Exactly. And we just put down saddle blankets. Honestly, we had like the big, beautiful Navajo blankets that you put on underneath Western saddles. We had some drinks and a couple games. I set up a little camping tent and with some blankets and a weighted blanket inside. And we have face painting. So if anyone wants to come over.
Are you doing face painting?
I started doing the face painting. And then one of my students came over and she actually called me and she's like, Becca, do you need any help? She's 7, mind you. And I said, of course I need some help. And so she came over and she started face painting. And it was great.
I'm going to come over and
Yes.
have her paint
I know.
my
We're
face.
getting our faces painted.
Yes. It
Yes.
might be a little bit more extravagant.
It'll be
than
whatever
usual.
she wants. Whatever she wants.
Oh, give her some boundaries. Yeah.
We're all, hi.
Yeah.
Today I'm a fairy mouse. Or whatever.
Fairy mouse.
Pretty much. I think I had a spider on my forehead and a flower on my cheek and a strawberry on my other
But she's
cheek.
practicing. I
it
love
was
that.
so great. Yeah. So we've got just 3 on the calendar right now. See how it goes. And then hopefully we'll add more for the end of the summer.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Something else you had mentioned, and I don't really know the details of it. Did you say there was a documentary or something that is it coming up or did it?
No, it's coming up.
Okay.
So
Tell us
on
about it.
July 13th, we're very excited about this.
Oh, good. We're right in the nick of time.
Yes, we are. July 13th, we are hosting the Rescued Hearts film. It's a documentary film about how horses can help heal humans in a myriad of ways, right? So these 2 documentarians, Dana and Chrisana, they kind of went on a personal healing journey for themselves, but it ended up being something much bigger than they thought. And I think they've probably interviewed like 50 programs at this point.
Oh, wow.
And
is this like a worldwide documentary?
Worldwide documentary about just the different ways that horses can support humans and humans then support the horses as well. So we were one of the programs that they spoke with, and actually we're really excited. We got 7 minutes in the film.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Which is huge.
That is huge
for a feature film. And we're right in the first 20 minutes too.
Oh.
So it's kind of fun.
It's
We're
all
like right at the
about
beginning. Yeah. So we're going to be hosting a film screening for their entire film, which is very exciting. They don't often do the entire film at the Sebastiani Theater on
That's so great.
Mhm.
Oh, that's
July
so great.
13th. And actually, if you go on to the Sebastiani Theater website, you can buy tickets for it now.
Nice.
Great.
Yeah. And then we'll
What
be having,
night is July 13th?
it's a Sunday.
Okay.
It's a Sunday afternoon.
Sunday
so I think it's
afternoon.
2, we start at 2:30.
Aww.
So we'll probably start the film about 3. But there will be a raffle, and it's going to be a fundraiser for Square Peg, and just a
Awesome.
really cool community event. I'm really excited about this. This has been about a year and a half in the making for us.
Okay.
They had to push back the film release time a couple of times.
Yeah. Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
I love that. We all love Sebastiani Theater
Yeah.
too.
Oh,
They're
so
really
cool.
super supportive
Yeah.
of anything. So that is really exciting. And beyond that, any things that you're cooking up? What's cooking in your brain?
What's
Becca,
cooking in my
for
brain?
Square
Well-
Peg? Besides another question that I have for you personally.
Okay.
Because you said cooking?
No.
I thought you were channeling
Oh, I
right
was
now.
channeling Gerardo, our other podcast partner usually. So yeah, let's get there.
Yeah.
What is your favorite food? I
Oh
mean,
my
you're
God.
a California girl.
Oh,
Besides one thing that I know that's a little secret. Trader Joe's mac and cheese.
oh
You got
my
Isla turned on to
God.
that. Look, Kat's like, yes.
Honestly, Trader Joe's is just great. Their trail mix is great. I think I turned Isla on to that as well.
Uh-huh.
I brought
Yes,
the
you
bag of
did.
that out, and she was like, "Do you have any more in your car?" And I was
Yes.
like, "Yeah, go for it. Go get in there."
Yeah, and we're stocked fully now.
My partner, he makes a really mean salmon.
Yes.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
really good.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So does mine.
Mm.
Jesse.
So does
so
mine.
well, he's a surfer, of course, by trade, or not by trade, should I say, by hobby, or that's where he came from. But long story short, when we first met, same thing. Like that was his meal he would make, right? It was poached salmon, which was really good. I always used to bake it. He does
Poached?
it perfectly. Yeah, poached in a
Cool.
pan. There's a little trick to it, and it
Yeah.
just comes out so good. So salmon and like broccoli and mac and cheese. So
Oh.
for Isla's whole life, at least once a week, we would have that. So we called it Jesse's Salmon Surprise, because it's not a surprise. We're probably having salmon surprise and watching Survivor on Wednesdays for almost her whole life.
Sounds like a classic move, right? That's perfect.
Yeah,
I
so
did
that's
not
super
know
cool.
you guys were Survivor fans. Now
Oh
there's
my
a whole
God.
new Thursday in our future.
Wait,
no.
sorry, we're totally getting off course. But yes,
Yes.
we just found out, like, we have been binge watching it for 2 days because we thought it started in May, but it actually started in August. And speaking, like, this is the best season. Season 48 has this like beautiful moment with a woman that's on
What
has
serendipitous
autism.
timing? Yes.
Yeah.
I did see something
and
about
with the
this.
firefighter
got
Joe.
goosebumps.
And I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a really
I was
touching
bawling.
season. I was bawling too.
Oh,
And
So-
I literally have goosebumps right now. I'm trying to put down.
Yeah, exactly. So that was fun. We
Yes.
digress.
Yeah.
But I do have this other question.
yeah.
You and Steve, did you meet out there? Steve is your
Oh, my
partner.
God.
Come on, a little
Yes.
love touch moment.
So, yes, my partner and I have been together since 2020, the fall,
Okay.
and we did meet at the farm.
Oh.
So his best friend is Forrest, who's Susan Palmer, the dressage trainer, I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
His best friend was her son.
Oh, cool.
And so they did Boy Scouts growing up together for years. And Susan hired Steve throughout like middle school and high school to work at the farm when her regular guy would go on his 2 weeks vacation every year. So Steve knew how to do all the chores. He knew how to drive the tractor. He knew how to halter a horse. So when I was going to India, the regular guy that was working there injured himself. And I was like, oh my God, I have to train someone new. This is going to be horrible. Training a horse, the horse, it's hard. It's hard keeping good work. It's hard finding the right people for your environment. And Forrest told me that Steve was looking to come back to Marin. He was living up in Chico at the time. He was looking to come back to Marin to finish his master's program, USF, in environmental science.
Nice.
And he wanted a weekend, like a just easy job. You know, he could get some stuff done and then go and work on his thesis. And so I hired him, and it was great because we were friends. I had known him since, 2017. He helped us evacuate because he had just finished
Oh, wow.
college. Yeah.
Mhm.
And, COVID romance, if you will.
That's
Aw.
It was encouraged by Gabriella, who's,
Yeah.
my coworker.
Gabriella.
I was going to say HR.
Yeah.
for their roles.
Well,
she's
she's
probably
probably
being paid
hit
by
me up.
different people. So it
Okay,
was
so
fine. It was
see?
fine.
Yes.
Gabriella's like, well, she's probably the one asking this question. When are you going to put a ring on it, Steve?
Oh my God. Oh, I'm sure it's in the works. Don't
I
worry.
know, right? I know. If Gabriella was still in California, because sadly she had to move
Yeah.
back to
Canada now.
Canada
Yeah,
right now.
BC.
But if she was here,
Oh, I think
she
already
already
planned-
organized the whole wedding.
She's already planned my wedding. She's like, so next July is when
You're riding in on a horse.
There's been quite a few weddings, I would say horse weddings, that have happened in the past out at did you know about that?
No, what?
Oh, Isla
Horse
and
wedding?
Elle.
Oh my God,
Isla's-
yes, I do know
Isla
about this.
has
Yes.
she's met her best friends through,
Mhm.
thank God, the Square Peg, right? And her young friend Elle had a couple horse marriages out
Yep.
there.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
that.
a couple of, I think
I think Isla was like the officiant, maybe did the
Yeah.
tail or something
yeah,
like
we
that.
decorated them and we had a whole little COVID wedding for the horses.
Aw.
I have this picture of like the horses. I was going to India to visit my sister because she was there for a minute.
Wow.
And she brought back an Indian like classic bridle.
yeah.
So it was really colorful. And we had one of those on the horses for the horse wedding.
I love this.
It was so cute. Oh my,
Oh,
Wait, how was India? That
It
must
was-
have been.
it was wild. It was
Yeah.
so cool. I'm so glad I went before COVID
Yeah.
because we got back February 14th of 2020.
Oh, wow.
so
Literally.
close.
Yeah.
So close
A
to getting
month
cut off.
later,
Yeah.
March 14th or March 15th, I think,
Yeah.
was when everything shut down.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we actually flew on our way home. We flew through Seoul, South Korea, and we got to do a 7-hour like bus tour into the temples and the city, and it was weirdly quiet. And now I'm like,
I guess they knew.
I guess they knew. I think things were already happening in Asia, and they were already shutting down. And yeah, it was wild. So I'm very glad I went before COVID because I don't know if I'd want to go now. It would
Yeah.
be, definitely the crowds thing makes me more nervous now. I think it makes a lot of people more nervous.
I
For
know.
sure.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I know. I've always wanted to go to India, and as I get older, I'm like, wait, I can barely handle farmers market with my like anxiety, and I know how like
Yeah.
colorful and just heightened
Just
it
people.
would be.
There's so
Yeah,
many
so
people. And people,
So-
especially, they want to come up to you because they see you're
Yeah.
a foreigner and they want to touch you and they ask you
Yeah.
questions. Where do you live? Can I come visit you? Can I have your number? It was a really
I'm
great
going to come to
experience.
America and stay with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really, really great experience. It was beautiful. People were so friendly. And I actually my grandfather was a Methodist minister and he actually had a church in Mumbai
Oh wow.
right when India became independent.
Okay.
And so I actually got to go and visit the church.
When
Oh,
you were
that's
young.
amazing.
Oh no, as
just
older.
now.
as-
Yeah, in 2020.
Wow.
I went, my first 24 hours in India was me actually finding a way across Mumbai on my own, right? Like navigating that. I was so jet lagged. And I arrived at this church and I thought that it was supposed to be an English speaking service, but I arrived too early. And I
Oops.
was I don't even know what language, at that point. And then I stayed later and the English speaking service happened. And then one of the families actually invited me home. He drove me around the city. We had tea with him and his wife and his mother-in-law after the service. And he drove me around the city so I could see all the sights. And then he brought me back in his home. His wife cooked dinner for us.
Oh.
I fell asleep on their couch. Like it was so cool. So that was my first 26 hours in India was going to
wow.
my grandfather's old church.
That's a trip.
Yeah.
That's a trip. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
What else can we say? Do you want to share anything more about Square Peg or your life out there? I know we're going to start wrapping it up here
Yeah.
so people can really get a good sense of, sometimes we go too long. Who's making it to the end? So this is a
I
good
could talk
timing.
for hours about horses
know,
and
I know
animals and
you
people
could.
and everything. I just came back. Well, came back, but this week has been kind of wild. My sister got married over the weekend. We had the farmer's market, Inclusion Corner on Tuesday. And in the last 2 days, we had a wonderful woman come out, Kansas Carradine, who actually was one of the first kind of hires of Cavalia. Do you guys know the Cavalia show?
Oh, yes. I went
Yeah.
to, is that part of the fair? Or the Santa
yes.
Rosa? This is
So it used
amazing.
to be a big performance. They traveled the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the horse equine performance. And
Mhm.
most of the time, the horses, it's like trick riding, it's vaulting, which
They're
is
riding
gymnastics.
upside down. We went to the
Wow.
Santa Rosa Fair and I was like, oh my
So
God.
cool.
How do these humans do this or get the horses to work with them like that?
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, I should have took Isla out of her last days of school.
Well, you have a couple of times before, so I'm sure it'll happen again. But so Kansas came out and she's also a heart math trainer. she teaches heart math, which heart math is this really cool meditation type technique that Kaiser has used and funds. And there's been a ton of scientific research behind it. Basically, you breathe into your heart area and think of renewing feelings. So gratitude, appreciation, love, joy for others. And it will help actually regulate your heart rhythm.
Okay.
And can have all sorts of beneficial effects. They've done it in refugee camps, actually. And in those refugee camps, when they've taught the families who live there this technique, bedwetting has been significantly reduced.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
So the effects of it are scientifically fascinating. And it kind of puts a scientific lens on meditation techniques. And in particular, thinking about renewing feelings, right? Joy, appreciation, gratitude, those love for others. So she just did a 2-day clinic with us at our facility for caregivers. So parents, guardians, our staff. And it was so cool.
Okay. I was kind of sharing a little bit and I couldn't really wrap my brain around what that was. And that's amazing because
really
I am a big believer in all kinds of different meditation. I might not practice all the time, but that's a really interesting technique.
And the idea was really to bring a really easy, because if you just do a 5-second breath, even in breath, so we can all do it together right now. We can focus on your heart. And you're going to take a deep breath and you're going to kind of just slowly make that breath even. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, and just think of someone you're grateful for. So 5 seconds in. If you just do that for, 5 breaths,
that's amazing.
It just shifts stuff
Yeah,
for
I feel
you.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Wow,
That's kinda
that's
cool.
so cool. I think we should end with that.
Oh,
Yes.
Do you think?
I
Is there
think
anything
the
else?
invitation is if you want to come out and do this with horses. Our hope is
Yeah.
to start doing a regular heart math for caregivers regularly. So we haven't quite
Great.
figured that out yet, but
Yeah,
I
I
really
love
hope
that
people will come
connection.
out and join us with the horses because the horses add us this special little magic to it.
Yeah. Okay. Horses and hearts.
Horses and
Becca,
hearts.
you're the
Aw.
best.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Molly.
much for coming on. We'll
Of
have to do this
course.
again in the
Of
future. And
course.
everybody, you can find all the information that you need at squarepegfoundation.org. And once again, what's your Instagram?
At the Square Peg Foundation.
Okay.
Mhm.
Easy
Thank
peasy.
you.
Easy peasy. Thank you guys.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.